Uh-oh, you caught me. Having a little cocktail. I'm going to show you how I made this low carb and how you can enjoy a cocktail occasionally on keto. So join me. Welcome to Kinda Keto with Donna. I'm Donna. On my channel, I like to do a lot of stuff in the kitchen, cooking videos, show you some recipes, things that I eat and drink occasionally to stay on my low carb and keto journey, where I have lost 45 pounds. So it may not be 100, but it's a pretty big amount for me. So I'm going to bring you along and show you what I do to maintain it and still have some fun. Besides showing you how to make a lower carb white Russian, I'm going to give you a comparison of what a regular white Russian is compared to this. So plus, besides the ingredients being a little bit different, so we're actually going to make our own homemade Kahlua, and that's the key, really, because the cream is fine and plain unflavored vodka is no carbs. So it's the Kahlua that's high in sugar, and we're going to tweak that a little bit. But a couple other differences. So this is the size I do now, on occasion, not all the time. So obviously the frequency is less, but also it used to be this glass or this glass, maybe 2 a night, you know, on the weekend or something. So now maybe 1, maybe 2, depending on the weekend, you know, when I am off and enjoying myself, but, you know, not too much. Here are the ingredients you're going to need to make your own homemade Kahlua. This is an alcoholic version, and we're going to start off with some brewed coffee, preferably espresso is what the recipe says. So I just brewed some coffee here. So we're going to do 2 cups of that, 1 cup of the filtered water. So I could just have a Brita, but whatever you got. That's it. It is alcoholic, so we are going to do some vodka. And that's going to be 2 cups for this recipe. And 2 cups, that's a lot, of your sweetener. So you got your Lecanto, we can do, or allulose. Either one of those would work. And then just a little bit of vanilla extract at the end. That's it. That's it. It's not bad at all. And then just a container to store it in. Let's get to making some Kahlua. Okay, so this is the espresso that I used. I actually got this last year. I have a huge can left. Looked all over for instant. Couldn't find an instant. I didn't have a coffee maker, so it was like a big pain. But now I have a coffee maker, one of those little individual Keurigs. So I did a couple of passes through cups of that to equal 2 cups of the espresso. And the Lecanto I wanted to show you that I got at Aldi. No, Aldi, sorry. Big Lots, and that was $10 for this 28.22 ounce bag of the Lecanto monk fruit sweetener, which I do really like. Big Lots is really great for that. So all we're going to do is put the coffee, water, and the sweetener, that's all, just those first 3 ingredients, in a medium saucepan over medium heat, and we're just going to stir that together till the sugar dissolves. I know it does look like a lot of the sweetener, but remember, this is Kahlua, and Kahlua is a sweet drink. But, you know, we're not going to be using a ton of it. So it's not like we're going to be having all of this sweetener. But for a little treat or a little holiday beverage, this is a nice alternative. Once that's dissolved, you're just going to take it off the heat, and you got to let it cool to about tepid or like room temperature. So we're just going to let that sit for a while. All right, and once your mixture is cooled, we're just going to take our 2 cups of vodka, put that in there. Ooh, almost not a big enough saucepan. And then we've got our vanilla. That's going to be 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Remember, we got a pretty big batch here, so 1. Okay, 2. We got finished that bottle. And just stirring together, and that's it. I mean, that was really quick. So just make sure it's cooled completely, before you put it in any containers. If you can have little fancy containers if you want. I had this sort of jarring, this kind of jar. Plus it's darker, so I just thought that would be better. All right, once your low carb Kahlua has cooled and it actually can be ready to drink right then. But I think it's a little better to wait a few days, maybe even a week or two, I started making this last year, and before we went on a cabin trip, I made it about a week ahead, and it just kind of gives it a chance for the flavors to meld a little bit, and it tastes good. So wait a little bit, and I think the flavors would be a little bit better. And also what I used to do to make it even a little more festive, a few years ago, I got the International Delights, the creamer. They have, obviously pumpkin spice, because they have pumpkin spice everything. So they have pumpkin spice, and I used to put that a little bit in my White Russian just to have a little extra flavor. And then in December time, I would put the peppermint mocha in there. So I'm going to do a couple little swaps and still enjoy a little seasonal flavor. And I'll show you what I do and the difference between the two. Okay, to make it a little more holiday flavored White Russian, or coffee or anything, I used to get this pumpkin pie spice creamer. Oh yeah. But just 1 tablespoon. Calories aren't so bad, 35. It's 5 grams of carbs, and sugar is the second ingredient, and palm oil, and all of that. So I do tend to stay away from that these days. Also, for Christmas, I used to do the peppermint mocha in a White Russian or hot chocolate or something. But we're going to swap that out for a low-carb version. Okay, I'm just trying to get out of the way. I guess this year I hadn't noticed that before. They do have a 0 sugar pumpkin pie spice, International Delights coffee creamer. But, I get, if you just want it for a couple little things, probably not terrible for you. But it does have palm oil, and the third ingredient is maltodextrin, which is actually, what do they say, sweeter or more addicting than sugar. So I'm going to pass on this. It is an option for you if you like that type of coffee creamer. And at least it is 0 sugar. And what do we say, no carbs? Yeah, so like less than 1 gram of carbs. So if you're just looking at that, then you're good to go. If you're thinking about inflammatory items and all that, then maybe pass. All right, now to make our White Russian, we've got our little shorter glass with lots of ice. Got our vodka. I'm even going to do a shot glass so I don't overindulge. So I got 1 shot of vodka. Here's my homemade Kahlua, low-carb Kahlua. A little easier to pour from a measuring cup. So I have that in there. Okay, 1 cup of there. Well, maybe just a little splash more. There we go. Just a little more. I like it on the sweeter side. Okay, then you got your heavy whipping cream, and I kind of mix it a little bit with my unsweetened almond milk, so it's not too heavy. Because remember, your heavy whipping cream, of course, is going to be a little calorically dense. And you're just going to kind of splash that in. That's the thing, if you don't have too tall a glass, then you won't overindulge on your milk type products. Okay, and then instead of the heavy cream, if you had some nut pods, you could do that. There's different flavored ones, so you can kind of spice it up a little bit. And the nut pods are only 10 calories, where the heavy cream is 45 if you're looking at calories. The carbs are both 0, but that's a thought too for a little flavor. Or so for the fall, I've got a little leftover skinny syrup, 0 calories, 0 sugar, pumpkin caramel, limited edition. And maybe just a little splash of that, just to get in the spirit. Oh, I gotta reach over. I don't have a straw. All right, I cut a regular straw down a little bit for these little short glasses. I mean, you can use a shaker, but that works out just fine. And there you go, a low-carb White Russian. Okay, a traditional White Russian at a restaurant or at home for about 4 ounces is 304 calories, 18 grams of net carbs, and if you're going to add a little pumpkin creamer, it's an additional 5 carbs per 1 tablespoon. In comparison, my White Russian would be about 232 calories, 1 gram of net carbs, and if you were going to add a little extra flavor for some skinny syrup, an additional 0 zilch carbs. Now, I am in maintenance mode, so I do allow myself a little treat here and there. Personally, I'd rather eat my carbs and calories than drink them. But, you know, it is fall and it is kind of holiday season, and I do occasionally like a cocktail. So, but I do want to warn you that alcohol will stall any weight loss. So just keep that in mind if you want to make that decision, but it will stall it. It's just a matter of, if you have enough carbs in your bank, I guess. I found this recipe last year, and this was through Keto Diet app, and I will leave a link in the description if you want to give it a shot. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Hey, and leave me a comment. Until next time, cheers.